This is Chicago. At the dawn of the 21st century, Chicago's media was dominated by a handful of major corporations. But a resistance movement arose to free Chicago's media from their clutches. One player in this movement is the Chicago Independent Media Center and its TV show, Chicago Independent Television. The Independent Media Center is a worldwide network of grassroots correspondents committed to using the tools of the media for promoting social and economic justice. You are watching this month's dispatch from the Chicago Independent Media Center.
Welcome to Chicago Independent Television, a collection of progressive video reports by grassroots media workers, produced free from corporate or commercial support or influence. I'm your host, Mitchell Szczepańczyk. In this episode, we'll go behind the scenes for a detailed look at the recent Chicago Teachers Union strike. We'll also go to Texas to follow the efforts of environmental activists to stop a deadly oil pipeline, and we'll learn about the potential impacts in Illinois of the controversial oil extraction practice known as fracking. And we'll join with Chicagoans who protested the radio personality Rush Limbaugh over sexist remarks. Stay with us.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by Coca-Cola, whose logo is stained red by the blood of murdered Colombian labor union organizers. Learn more at killercoke.org. Coke, the drink of the death squads.
Mr. Bishop, I want to use this picture on the front page of our next issue.
Oh, come now, Nancy. We can't print a picture like that. Paper is read by people all over the city. Just think what a picture like that would do to the reputation of our newspaper.
I don't think we should hide things just because they're unpleasant. How do we stop things like this if we don't let the people know they're happening?
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. For 9 days, the Chicago Teachers Union gained worldwide attention for their strike over a number of issues. We'll hear an in-depth perspective from a Chicago teacher who served on the union's negotiation team.
My name is Garth Limbaugh. I'm a 5th grade teacher. I've taught for 8 years at Hammond Elementary here in Chicago. I am also a member of the Chicago Teachers Union Executive Board, and that board serves to advise the officers of our union. 3 years since Karen Lewis, Jesse Sharkey, the core caucus took leadership of the union, we saw a change in the union. The union began organizing members for a member-driven union. CORE is the Caucus of Rank-and-File Educators and was formed about 5 years ago because we were seeing a lot of school closings. A lot of our members had been displaced. A lot of these schools, these poor neighborhood schools, were being taken over by charter schools. And those are quasi-public-private organizations that don't have union protections, provide generally inferior education for our students, and undermines the democratic process of this country, quite frankly. We were doing a lot to organize around school closings, and when our union had a general election, we ran a slate. And I think that people saw what our caucus was doing, that we were working very hard to protect member rights and the quality of public education. And I think they responded to that, and we were elected. Our emphasis has been on a member-driven union, educating our membership, and that really built up to the strike when we were in negotiations. We were in negotiations for 10 months, and we knew that we had to prepare our members for a possible strike. Whether or not we actually had to strike was to be seen, but we knew we had to be prepared, and we did that. We did that, quite frankly. One thing that became apparent being in on negotiations was that a lot of what the mainstream media was publishing was completely inaccurate. One of the misnomers that they kept pushing was this idea that Karen Lewis was absolutely in charge. Karen Lewis, the CTU president, president of the Chicago Teachers Union, particularly in the time of the strike, there was a lot of pleading for, Karen, call off the strike, we need to get the kids back in school. What we kept responding was that we're a democratic organization, and Karen can't do that. President Lewis can't do that. The House of Delegates, the elected body, each school elects a delegate. That body votes to suspend the strike. Mayor Rahm Emanuel has a long history of getting his way with other unions. We stood up to him, and he definitely didn't like it. And just like many bullies don't like, quite frankly. So once we struck, they were very upset, and they definitely wanted to end the strike as soon as possible. And I think that we had a victory in that sense. There's a lot of things we didn't get. There was a lot of things that a lot of working people don't have. And yes, when I listen to teachers that are frustrated with the contract, I definitely shoulder that responsibility. And, 20/20 hindsight, yes, we couldn't get this, we couldn't get that. It was a fight. You don't have a battle without casualties, and we had casualties. And we're going to see some of those casualties still. I think it was difficult for some members to understand that we really were fighting just to keep what we had. And in that was our victory. I think one of the most inspiring things to come out of the strike is that we did it. We did it. We were organized. We were out there on the picket lines. Teachers that don't normally talk to other teachers or other members, clinicians. Clinicians would be social workers, nurses. People that never talk to each other were talking to each other. And we formed relationships and broke down those barriers of division. I think that's one of the strongest things to come out of a strike. I think it's also inspiring when I listen to the radio in the morning and I hear that yet another suburban school district is going on strike. And we're seeing all of these come after the Chicago Teachers Union strike. I think we're going to see more.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by Walmart. There's a reason we're the world's most profitable corporation. We pay our employees peanuts. Learn more at walmartwatch.com. Walmart. Always low wages, always.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. The Keystone XL pipeline is a proposed oil pipeline from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. Activists have described the pipeline as the fuse to an enormous carbon bomb. Efforts to block the pipeline's construction have escalated recently in Texas, as we'll see in this segment.
We're here because we love this land. And we're here because we're defending this land. We're here because we don't want the people of this community to have their water poisoned. We don't want the people of this community to have their land stolen from them by a foreign corporation. Why is it crazy to not want your water poisoned? And why is it crazy to not want your land destroyed? And why is it crazy to give a
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by AT&T, the company lobbying hard to destroy network neutrality and public access television. Learn more at SaveTheInternet.com. AT&T, your world degraded.
I am a soldier who survived the fear of facing Uncle Sam and saying, "Sir, no sir. I won't fight for lies. Forgive me, wounded soldier, for not being there to ease your pain. I'll try on this end to bring you home now."
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. In this segment, we'll learn more about the controversial oil extraction practice known as fracking and its impacts on the environment in central and southern Illinois.
Greetings. In this segment, we'll see Dr. Laura Chamberlain on the what, how, and concerns about fracking. Then, we'll hear from Elizabeth Patula from Southern Illinoisans Against Fracturing Our Environment, SAFE, on the effect on families and the environment.
Hi, I'm Dr. Laura Chamberlain, and I am a member of the Coalition for a Moratorium on Fracking here in Illinois. Fracking is a very dangerous process of drilling for natural gas. It's only been around since 2005. The oil and gas industry will say that they've been fracking for a long time, but what they really mean is that they've just been drilling vertically for oil and natural gas. But fracking, what the environmentalists call fracking, is a very dangerous process of high volume, horizontal, high pressure drilling for natural gas. It's a totally different animal, and Cheney exempted this practice of fracking from the Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act in 2005 in his energy bill that he negotiated in secret. Fracking uses about 90 different chemicals, toxic chemicals, uses enormous amounts of water, millions and millions of gallons of water, and it shoots this water under high pressure down these really long drills, and it fractures the rock and it releases small pockets of natural gas that bubble up, sometimes the tube, but sometimes everywhere. And that everywhere can be in aquifers, in wells, in farmland, in wildlife areas, in natural forests. It can bubble up anywhere. And this bubbling up of natural gas and other volatile compounds can cause an extreme amount of air pollution and is causing a high degree of disease in the residents that live around this area. So this fracking can contaminate water, rivers, lakes, aquifers, wells. It can contaminate farmland. It can kill livestock and wildlife, and it can sicken residents. And there's one other thing that fracking can cause, and you need to know about this, and that is earthquakes. So this is a map of Illinois. Here is where they're looking to frack right here. This is the New Madrid fault line right here, and this is the Wabash fault line right there. And the New Madrid fault line is the most unstable fault line in the country. We do not want to frack right here when we have that fault line right there. Trust me. So what we're hoping that everybody does is go to gaslandthemovie.com and watch the movie. There's a 45-minute version on that website absolutely for free. And then you can go to don'tfractureillinois.org and find out more about what's happening here in Illinois. That's don'tfractureillinois.org. And then when you're convinced that this is not good for Illinois, please call your state rep and state senator and ask them to pass SB 3280 with the moratorium on fracking and an investigative task force. And the number for your state rep and state senator, 217-782-2000. And then when you're done with that call, will you please call the governor? And his number is 312-814-2121. And thank you very much for those calls. We can beat back the frack attack in Illinois. Thank you.
Well, one of the immediate effects would be respiratory problems because a lot of these chemicals are irritants to various passageways, so things like asthma tend to go up. And then unfortunately, in the longer term, some of the health effects that come up would be like rare cancers. And the thing is, there are physicians on record as saying, like I can think of one from Colorado, saying these symptoms are happening in clusters around drilling activities. And we know that the people are getting exposed to these chemicals and they're getting these diseases that would come from them. So it's not a long stretch at all to make that connection. Not only are companies using really toxic chemicals, what comes back up from the shale is another layer, if you will, of hazardous materials such as radioactive particles, heavy metals like arsenic, various hydrocarbons. So that the fluids that are involved with this are very toxic. So spills represent an immediate danger to the soil, and then that can get down then into groundwater.
We could not cover all the issues in fracking in the segment, so we hope you could educate yourself some more. We know that fracking is a big issue and has drastic effects on families in other states like Pennsylvania. Liz informed me that they are working on educating our legislators in Illinois on this issue. However, we cannot do this without your help. Call your representative and ask them to look at the facts and pass House Bill SB 3280 with a moratorium and investigative task force. Thank you.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. Last April, Chicago activists protested the radio personality Rush Limbaugh over sexist remarks he made against a women's rights advocate. We'll join the protest, which took place outside the Chicago radio station that airs Limbaugh's show.
My name is Don, and I happen to be a member of just a whole bunch of people here that from Chicago that care about what's going on in the city and around the world. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Rush Limbaugh has said some very horrible things about Susan Fluke, who is a woman who testified in front of Congress because Congress was having a hearing on contraceptives and birth control and how it would pertain to the new insurance policies that were coming up under the Obama program. Rush Limbaugh took after this woman with a fury. For about 2 or 3 days, he's lambasted her. He called her a whore, a slut, said she wanted birth control subsidized by the taxpayers of this country. Rush bit into her, and so he got a lot of criticism for it. And you know what they say, karma's a bitch, payback's a bitch. So we've been here for the last 5 weeks protesting what this man has done. It's a matter, you know, they say free speech, we say it's commercial speech. Rush Limbaugh is bought and paid for by the right wing in this country. They've bought blocks of time for Limbaugh since the 1980s when he came on. He doesn't have anywhere near the amount of people listening to him that he claims. He is there basically as a pay-for-play part of what the right wing has done. They've been financing these talk show radio hosts for the last 20, 25 years. 95% of talk show radio is right wing. You can't go around any station in this country without having 2 or 3 right wing radio hosts in a row. Even when progressive, left, center people have gone on the air, have beaten out these right wingers in markets like in the middle of America, the right wingers were still kept on. It's not a matter of free market. It's not a matter of free speech. It's a matter of commercial speech pushing an agenda. And this agenda is an agenda of hate. This is not about free speech. He needs to be told that he can't say this stuff in the United States of America. This is a country of all kinds of people, and until he learns it, we're going to be here, okay?
My name is Don Cush. And I'm out here because of Rush Limbaugh's rant against Sandra Fluck, putting her down before a national audience. Rush for 20-some years has been ranting and raving against black folks, against women, against other immigrants, against poor folks. There's a limit. There's got to be a limit to what he does. And Sandra Fluck was the straw that broke the camel's back.
They're not going to take your phone calls anymore. They're through taking phone calls. You got to write them. They don't want to talk to the people. Try calling them. You can't get through to them. Their director, his name is Drew Hayes. Try to get a hold of Drew Hayes. Tell him how you feel. Be nice to him. He's part of the solution, but he's also part of the problem because he's the station manager there, and he has to do something. He has either have to apologize for the station or do something to get Rush off the air. Okay? So just do what you need to do as a citizen, and call him. Call. Oh, just call a lot of people and tell them what's going on.
Number.
Yeah, there's the number. But like I said, they're not going to answer the phone. How do you like to have a number you call and nobody answers the phone?
In about an hour, they'll send this woman out from the radio station, right? The tall woman, the redhead. They'll send her out, and she starts harassing us from a WLS from the radio station. She comes out like when we're here, like every time, and she just like spouts a bunch of right-wing talking points over and over again. You know, like one week she was like, "What about Bill Maher? What about Bill Maher? What about Bill Maher?" He swears, he says horrible things about women, and all I said was, "Well, you have to pay to see Bill Maher because he's on cable, and you don't have to pay, you know, to hear Rush Limbaugh. He's on the public airways."
Rush Limbaugh's got to go! Take him off the radio! Rush Limbaugh's got to go! Take him off the radio! Rush Limbaugh's got to go! Take him off the radio! Rush Limbaugh's got to go! Take him off the radio! Rush Limbaugh's got to go! Take him off the radio!
You've been watching Chicago Independent Television, a project of the Chicago Independent Media Center Video Collective. The Independent Media Center is a growing worldwide network of media producers, journalists, citizens, and activists, working to put the media in the hands of everyday people and away from corporate and commercial interests. To learn more, visit our website at chicago.indiemedia.org. There you can find out about upcoming Chicago area events and how to get involved in making your own media, including how to help make this very TV show. Thanks for watching. See you next time.